Hey guys, there's so much to talk about today, from quantum computing to Russia taking over an Eastern European lithium mine, also budget numbers and the creation of the External Revenue Service. Tons of stuff to talk about. I did not want to do a video today, that's why I'm not even setting up the studio properly. It wasn't planned. I have to get to this because it's really significant. And I asked you guys too about, with the insiders, what do you guys want to see more of? What you want me to talk about? I can talk about anything really. And I was so happy to see that everything you suggested, which we'll talk about in this video, is what I'm already starting to work on. What I also agree is the next big thing for investors and for the entire technological world. Now we do have to move on because there's so much stuff. So near the end of the video, I'm going to tell you what to look for in some of these technology stocks and what to look out for. And there's a lot of information in both those aspects. So you got to be careful when you're trying to achieve or capture these massive profits. But now let's get into the other things. I wanted to share a clip with you from former Prime Minister Pierre Chrétien. And he was the coolest prime minister ever, because one time a guy broke into his house and he just took care of it with a candelabra. Look it up. And also then one time he's going to protest, and this protester got his face with a microphone, and he got right in his face, and Christian just grabbed him by the head and just tossed him. It was the best. I'm like, I will vote for that guy until I die. But anyways, here's a clip I want to show you. He's talking about Donald Trump and the tariffs, etc., etc.
It's not in the interest of America not to have a good neighbor like Canada North. And for Mr. Trump, he does not realize that if Canada had been part of the US a few weeks ago, he would have never become president, because the Canadians would not have voted for him.
And please remember to subscribe to the channel. I like to think I'm helping people through what I believe to be is going to be a ridiculously awful financial time, a complete financial breakdown. It's, in my mind, a matter of when, not if. From CNBC, perfect storm fuels gold's best yearly performance since 2010 as Trump 2.0 looms. It was a pretty good year for gold, of course, as you know. And I hope you guys are heavily invested in some gold mining stocks. If you're not, you're missing out on what will be one of the best trades of this generation. Gold prices were poised for an annual surge of over 26%, biggest yearly rise since 2010, driven by safe haven demand. As I tell you about global conflicts, that always makes people move more towards safer investments like gold. Historically, it's been that way since gold has been a factor into any society. Gold was always the flight to safety. It will always be the flight to safety. Even if you believe in self-fulfilling prophecies, it's now a flight to safety just because people believe it is. But it is. And also driven by central banks' rate cuts. The all-time high that gold prices ever reached were $2,790.15 on October 31st in US dollars. And where is gold at now? Let's check where it is literally today. Gold's up $29 to $2,746. And you guys see that it's so close to another all-time high, breaking through that former level that it hit. Silver's headed for the best year since 2020, having added nearly 22% so far. The budget deficit rose in December and is now 40% higher than it was a year ago. Once again, the budget deficit is 40% higher than it was a year ago. This is what I keep talking about. People think I'm just a wet blanket. Yeah, sure I am, but I'm just telling you that this was coming up. This is what's going to happen. The whole economy is deteriorating. Everyone's saying, wow, that's surprising. And then they are looking around, wow, things are going up. They get excited. Then they say, well, that's surprising. This stuff is what comes up. This is how it's going to manifest. And when there's a budget deficit, how do they fill that hole? They create money, or they borrow it, or they steal it, or they take it, or maybe they just don't pay. But the point is, there is not a good solution. The only solution cannot be done now, because the only solution could have worked maybe 20 years ago when I talked about it. But now it's too late. Like, everyone's just not understanding that we've already run off the cliff. And so what I'm trying to help you do is prepare for it. Be ready for it. It's reality. Be stoic about it. You can't control it, but you can control your reaction to it. Your choices, your decisions you make as you go through this. It's going to be a financial breakdown sooner or later. And I say sooner. It hasn't happened yet, so then people give me a hard time. So I'm wrong about sooner. It's later. You don't have to agree, but I think that you owe yourself the gift of paying attention, knowing what this topic is going to mean for you, how it's going to affect you, at least have your opinions about it.
You know, he said this morning that he does not need our electricity. Fine. If he wants us to cut off the electricity, he would have to walk up the Trump Tower with candles.
And when Trump gets inaugurated, he's also going to be launching the External Revenue Service. So instead of the IRS, this will be an additional one, the ERS, that's going to collect tariffs, duties, and all foreign revenue from foreign sources. You don't collect money from tariffs from another country. If you put a 25% tariff on a Canadian car, and you're in San Diego or Illinois or New England, your car now costs you an extra 25% on top of whatever sticker price. And if you think inflation is gone, or you think that the tariffs are something that someone other than you pays, I'm literally telling you, because of the tariffs, things will cost more for you. We will begin charging those that make money off of us with trade, and they will start paying, finally, their fair share. I have a pretty strong opinion that this is going to go differently than people are expecting it to.
And the type of oil they buy from Alberta, if they don't buy it from Alberta, they will have to buy it from Venezuela, because it's a special type of oil they buy mostly from us. And they cannot replace it by something else, and it is all our oil.
This was a pretty big deal. The Russians took over the Ukrainian lithium mines, and that also says a lot about how the war is going in that area of the world. That's Russia taking a pretty strategic piece of land there. And the thing is, I've been thinking about this a lot. I've gotten a lot of questions about it. Is this going to affect the price of lithium? It might affect you because Russia has more lithium. They can build more stuff. Maybe they drop a bomb on us one day. But if you ignore that, lithium prices, will they be affected by this? And I see the world as divided sort of in half, where there's Russia now has the lithium mine with China and Iran, etc., North Korea. And then America had the lithium mine because it was controlled by Ukraine, our friend. And then America's now lost that. So there won't be a difference in lithium production worldwide, but it might cause a smaller supply in the allied hands, so to speak, which might affect prices. It won't be massively significant in my opinion, but it's not nothing. Something to keep an eye on. And this might represent another step in the war towards taking over more and more resources. I've been telling you guys about the oil wars for ages, and they've already begun, but they're just not widely known, and it's not a hot war anywhere, but there's a lot of things going on, people scrambling for oil. And I asked you guys, the Peter Leeds Insiders, what you want to see more of. What is the next big thing? And I was so happy to see that a lot of what you said, I was like, good. It made me feel proud of you guys that you're on the right track and you're smart and you're paying attention to the right things. And all the things that we are all talking about, and I'll say quantum computing, computer learning, artificial intelligence, robotics, all that stuff is the next big thing. And I'm deeply involved in figuring out the best moves for you as an investor. And it's really difficult because it's easy if you're looking at large multi-billion-dollar companies. But what I want to do is find the company that you put a little bit of money into and you take out a lot. A company that'll be life-changing, a 10-bagger, 20-bagger, and they exist. And I've done it before. I'm going to keep doing it, and this is where they're going to come from. And so I'm going to put together, once I have at least 5 or 6 stocks that are under $5, newer companies in the space that are using it to save money, to be more efficient, and to also expand their operational footprint. All this stuff is going to be wonderful if the right company is in your portfolio. But so far, the vast majority have been complete disappointments to me, where there's companies saying they're into artificial intelligence, and so everyone's buying the shares are going up, but this company is losing $1 billion a year. Under the carpet, nobody's seeing it, but you look into the financials and it's like, if they don't go into business, if they don't go bankrupt, then I literally don't understand anything in the entire world. So long story short, during this massive, once in a lifetime ever transition of technology, we're going from a level 2 to a level 4,500 all of a sudden. Just wow. And there's so many risks. Every scam artist is jumping on board this train and telling you that their thing is to do with all this important stuff that's the local latest buzzword. But there are some good companies we're going to find for you. I'm going to release them all to peterleeds.com subscribers in a big, glorious report that'll knock your socks off. Leave the financial screen to me. I'll get rid of the ugly companies, but what you want to look for once you get past all these deeply indebted businesses that are just bleeding cash. The same thing happened in the dot-com bubble. It was clear those companies were going to go bankrupt. There's just so much hype about the internet then that no one could believe it. So they just throw money at it. That's not investing. That's stampeding. You're joining the mob. You're all running over to one side of the raft. The same thing's going to happen with this. And so many people are going to get wiped out thinking they're investing when they're not. What you want to look for, though, once you get past the garbage companies that are using artificial intelligence themselves, practicing what they preach, and they're saying this will help other companies save money. Are they doing it? But what you want to also look for are those companies that are combining the technologies. If you have robotics combined with 3D printing, combined with artificial intelligence, you can do things through the combination. And this is very important. You also want to focus on companies that have been around for multiple decades, 20 years or more, because they've been around at the cutting edge when it was really cutting edge. It's not cutting edge now. It's just becoming more widely used, widely known to the masses. But a company that's been rolling along for 20 years already in the space, they are at very least a massive takeover target, at very least for the employees, let alone everything else. There's so many benefits to a company that's been around 20 years that is hopefully making money, but leave that part to me. I'll figure that part out. And as always, you got to make sure they have proof of concept sales so that they're providing value for value. Is their product something that someone wants? And we'll pay them money for the product at a level greater than the cost to produce it, yada, yada. I want to tell you what to watch out for, and I'm telling you there's going to be so many scams across the board, and they'll say, okay, our company is about computer learning, and they'll put in the title or they'll talk about it, but they don't even have the workforce that has an experience. For example, if you look under the hood, or what did that CEO do at his previous job, her previous job? What did they do before that? How did that work out? Did that company do well? It's about being a digital sleuth, I guess. It's fun. Have a coffee, look around, dig around the internet a bit. Just trust only things that you see that aren't on their website. That was literally the most convoluted way to say, don't trust what they tell you. So don't trust what they tell you. If it's a press release written by them, you can read it to learn things, but don't make decisions based on something that you heard from someone with a vested interest.